All right, and we're live. Hi, everyone. So hopefully you're hearing me okay. And you were just listening to some amazing music from of Sleeping Bears. That was the companion EP soundtrack for We Deal in Lead. I thought I'd last minute. I thought I'd throw it up on the starting soon screen. So I'm still new to YouTube streaming. I've done it once before, tested it, seemed to go okay. And I thought I would uh, do another live stream tonight. It's going to be design focused, Dungeon 23, hashtag Dungeon 23 focused. Um, yeah, so I'll see how it goes. And you can see in the shadows behind me is little fuzzy Freya. She decided to join me for the stream. So you might have seen Ranger in the last live stream. And so here's Freya. Right. So we're live. We're all good. Got my stream set up already. My notebook in front of me. I'm going to use a 2-camera setup for this. When I switch to doing the actual Dungeon 23 design. Again, I'm bear with me. I'm new to streaming, so I'm gonna see how it goes as people kind of speak in chat. I'll repeat what they say, as is the norm, I guess. Right. So I think my approach for Dungeon 23, hashtag Dungeon 23, has been pretty freeform so far. I knew I wanted to do something for it, and I knew when it actually started in December, I had quite a lot on. I had family over visiting. I was finishing up a freelance project, getting ready for the holidays. So I didn't actually start until the new year, until the 1st of January. So I've got, what, on the 18th, or it's the 20th today. So that's nearly 3 weeks worth of Dungeon 23. So I'm doing a We Deal in Lead Megacity. So We Deal in Lead, you're probably sick of me saying it. It's my post-apocalyptic Weird West TTRPG. It's inspired by the Stephen King's The Dark Tower. And I really like it. I think it's really cool. And the megacity that I'm making is kind of based on a city in the Dark Tower. It's based on Lud, but also more like our world. With so the setting of We Deal in Lead, the Drifted World, is like it's a world where time and space has started to break down and merge together. So you get different time periods crashing together. You get could have different land masses. You could have different worlds, and you can travel between worlds. So the city is a mix of a lot of different things. Some contemporary stuff, some blasted nuclear fallout city, something that you'd see in like The Last of Us, or like to the nth degree, like 10,000 years after that. Also some contemporary stuff, some fantasy stuff might show up in there. So it's a weird mix of worlds and genres and settings. So I've got 3 regions done already, and I've started on the 4th. I've recorded like read-throughs of the previous 3 regions. Those are available on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description of this video, so you can check those out if you want. And I'm going to continue to do this. I usually do about 5 on a page. So I'll show you the book that I'm working with. This is it here. Just a nice spiral-bound notebook. It lays flat. It's got dots instead of a grid or instead of lines. So I think that works really well for Dungeon 23. yeah, last time I had a bit of a mishap with one of the pages. It ripped a bit, so I got some tape and taped it up. So I think it's going to see a beating if I manage to get through 365 days with this. But if I do, then that's going to be an amazing collection of setting and um, flavor and lore of the world. And when I do areas for We Deal in Lead for this mega city, I'm thinking I might actually call it Omega City because that's what some captions pick it up as when I do videos, because I tend to say ah and and a lot. So it's been picked up as Omega City. And I like that. I think that's pretty evocative. So I might call it Omega City, as in the last of all cities, the final city, the transmetropolitan, because it covers the globe. Um, yeah. So my approach has just been kind of what's in my head at the time. So I was watching some BBC documentaries the other day, and there was stuff on a social club that was struggling. Like it might be closed. And social clubs and working men's clubs in England are a really interesting, fascinating thing. And I thought, oh, I might as well throw an abandoned social club in as a location. Um, so I try to be evocative. Um, I haven't statted anything out yet, and I haven't really put any NPCs in it. So it's really just locations for now. I'd originally planned or thought about I might have like um, I might do deep dives into individual locations. Say I make locations on one week. The next week I might do rooms within that location, and I think I might still do that, depending on how it works out and if I can be bothered. But I think that'd be cool too. But I also like just having like um, lore rich, evocative locations that people can just like that GMs and wardens can pick up and run with. Like if there's a kernel in there that kind of sparks you, like the abandoned social club, for instance. Stench of stale beer and decay, drawn haunted faces, peer from missing windows, the spirits of the damned. So if there's like one kernel that you can pull from that and say, oh, that'd be a cool encounter or that would be a cool setting, um, then I think that, yeah, I think that would do a lot. I'm just going to mute my, I've got a smartwatch and I've got notifications on it. And I forgot to mute it because I um, don't want to be looking at my watch while I'm on a live stream. Okay. So that's kind of my approach for Dungeon 23. So some days I start with the actual description, and then some days I start with the location and the drawing. And sometimes I follow a flow on the page, and then sometimes I'm just like, there's a blank spot there, so I'll do that. I've had a few of the regions link up, but I'm trying not to be too prescriptive and too restrictive on where things go, because I think that could easily burn me out if I'm trying to keep track of where everything is. So if there's like something that connects to the next page, then fair enough, cool, awesome. If not, I'm not going to worry about it too much because I could get really in the weeds with the details of that. And I want to keep this as free flowing, as fun, as kind of stress less as possible, so that it'll be more likely that I'll keep going with it. And that's, I like doing the wrap ups or mop ups every 5 days and doing a video on it. And I think I've got a decent workflow now in Adobe Premiere. Just realized I probably should have been recording this just in case the sound isn't working properly on YouTube. It's okay. I think it should be all right. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so workflow. Yeah, I've got a decent workflow now with recording a video, and I can edit it for TikTok and for YouTube. So I can use the same video and edit it for both. I do that in Premiere Pro. So I set it up the first edit pass, to just kind of clean up everything, to take out all the ums and ahs and ers, get it ready and kind of flowing without a lot of repetition, because I'm bad at repetition. Repeating myself, I'm bad at that. It happens a lot. I'm redundant, and I repeat myself with repetition. So I get it easy to kind of just watch and parse, and I put that on TikTok, and I'll have the map. I'll add that to TikTok, and like put my image smaller underneath it, and then so that's on one day, and then the next day I'll do a slightly longer edit on in Premiere Pro for YouTube, adding some moving parts, nothing groundbreaking, just like highlighting regions that I'm talking about, just so it's a bit easier to follow. And then I use obviously the wider palette for YouTube, so that gives a bit more of more image to work with. So and then put it onto YouTube. So it's on TikTok and YouTube. TikTok by its nature is a bit more ephemeral, and YouTube, at least I mean they are permanent on TikTok as well, but you wouldn't have like a catalog of videos that you would necessarily go to. The way it works is still don't know. It's still an arcane art to me. But I've got a decent workflow, and I enjoy doing that. I used to make YouTube videos back in the day for video games. I used to like review and more analysis than actually like actual plays and stuff like that. So I'd have like video essays on YouTube. Just my voice, I wouldn't be on camera for them. So I used to use Premiere Pro for that, and I enjoyed it, but just I wasn't great at it. And there's so many people who are better at it than I was, and it just kind of fell off. But I enjoy picking it back up again for making stuff like this and doing a live stream setup. I've been working on my live stream setup for a while, getting it looking okay, using an old phone for my camera. I'm debating getting a better, like an actual DSLR or mirrorless camera, but I can't really justify the expense, because it would only be slightly better than what I've got now, picture wise. Just give me a bit of a better bokeh behind me, more blur behind me, but don't really need it, can't really justify it. So this is good enough for now. Maybe I'll have it'll be a streaming reward tier or something like that, or like some goal to shoot for, to getting a better camera. Right now, so it's just an old phone that's permanently attached on a tripod, or like a fixed arm on my desk. I've got some lights set up, and the light behind me, so it does the job. Right, okay. Enough waffling. I think I'll get to the actual. Sorry, I'm just banging on the table. The actual Dungeon 23. So bear with me. I'm going to switch my camera here, and there we go. So I'm still here. So this is kind of as best as I could do at the moment. I only have one monitor arm, or tripod, like camera arm, and I would use it for this camera, but I only have the one, so it's hanging off my monitor. So it's kind of as good as I can get it. So hopefully that'll be all right. Just move my Stream Deck away. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to reposition slightly, so ignore any noise as I move the microphone. Okay, so we can see, I know you can't read it very well, but this is the best as I could do. I think you can see the map decently well. Okay. So again, some days I start with the description, some days I start with the actual map. So you can see this is a preview of what's going to be in the next roundup. So you got a barren field and rusted merry-go-round. Gray dirt, dry ground, nothing grows. Creaking wheel at the center, no longer fully turns. Even my handwriting, sometimes I'm like, what's that? And then we've got a buzzing electrical substation. Air crackles and hums, heavy smell of ozone. Tangled wires reach through cracks in the concrete. Strange magnetic field alters consciousness. So I had an idea of this one. It would be like almost like a techno-organic virus, a bit of a throwback to Cable in the 90s, growing out of the electrical substation, like vines that grow out of there. So I thought that would be a cool, evocative image for Wardens to run with. Okay, so this is going to be Area 3. All right. See, here's the hard part. What do I come up with? So this is a bit further in. So the first few regions were on the outskirts of the city, industrial. This is pushing slightly more into residential. This merry-go-round is a little out of place, but that's okay. Doesn't really matter. I would have had that further in, potentially further into more of the residential area. But I think I'm gonna stick. I don't want to go too far into residential or commercial just yet. So we've got an electrical substation. Here's where I'm on the spot. First thing that popped in my head was a vacant lot, but that's a bit boring. What else would we have? Any of the viewers in the chat, if you want to shout up your ideas. Today it can be a collaborative effort, as I have a think. So a bit further in, wouldn't be like car dealership or anything like that. I'm thinking electrical substation. There may be a like sewage treatment plant, something like that, or a water treatment plant. Gonna have some like rain collectors, reservoir. Yeah, because in the previous one we had a culvert, or a couple ones ago it was like a storm sewer. So I think I'll do a reservoir. Right. Okay. Yeah. So I had an idea of what pops into my head as like particularly creepy or spooky or like unsettling or unnerving. The first thing that popped into my head was Lord of the Rings, because we just watched it again recently. The marshes, the dead marshes in Lord of the Rings. I think having a reservoir that's filled with either the physical bodies of the dead or their spirits, because this city, because it's the last city, the Omega City, has seen so much death and so much chaos that it's seeped into the water. So I think it's going to be a corpse, corrupted reservoir. Okay. I usually stick to 2 or 3 bullet points for each one. So I think that don't want to go into too much detail, and I think that does it. Steven says sewage treatment plant. Hehe. Yeah. Yeah, there's always shit to deal with in in every major city, especially one like this. Okay, so we've got a corpse corrupted reservoir. So when I do areas like this, I like to look at or think about um, the senses first. So Steven says, haven't been following the video, so I don't know the setting. So it's a post-apocalyptic Weird West kind of far future corrupted city. But there's also, so it's a mix of genres. So there's a lot of like um, cowboy western influences, but also science fantasy. It's based on, or it's inspired by Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. So it's a mesh of an amalgam of genres. Yeah, so when I do areas like this, I like to look at the senses first. So what do you smell? What do you hear? Um, what do you even taste in your mouth before you get to what do you see? Um, so for this, it would definitely be the scent of it. Okay. So one thing that I've found doing this putrefaction is when I'm writing, I tend to go back and remove a lot of redundancies, a lot of redundant words or repeated words. But doing this, I don't have that luxury. So sometimes I repeat myself. So I've used stench of rot before and a couple of others, which is okay. You know, it's evocative enough. But if I was editing this, I'd go back and change those, um, make them a bit, just switch up the language so it's not as much repetition. Be more interesting to read. All right, stench of rot, decay, and putrefaction. So I start with senses, and then usually I'll go into like a bit more evocative description of it. So something that stands out about the corpse corrupted reservoir. Yeah, I think there'd be stuff floating in it. Corpses. Some language just goes well together. Like, it's not. I don't try to avoid cliches, but some stuff just fits, like bloated corpses. If you say a bloated corpse, then you get an immediate image of what it actually is. So dozens of bloated, not floated, bloated corpses. Okay, so we've got dozens of bloated corpses float amongst the brackish water. So would there be this much water if it's a city that's on the edge of the desert? Maybe, maybe not. But there's also that um, melding of worlds. So there can be anything in this city. It could have pulled through something, or it can be pulling um, rotting or putrid water from a different source. And the third one, I try to hit it as something um, eerie, unusual, supernatural, or strange. Um, so I think, much like the Dead Marshes, I think these corpses would call to passersby, that you'd hear their voices or hear their lamentations um, as you kind of get in the area. Okay, so voices from the dead call from the still water. All right, so we've got a description of our corpse corrupted reservoir. We've got a couple of evocative bullet points, and now it's on to the actual illustration. So I'm gonna grab my eraser, just so I can erase the pencil mark. There we go. Let's move my phone out of the way. Okay. So, all right, bear with me. I'm going to erase some of my previous pencil that I didn't do the other day. All right, there we go. So I usually do start with pencil, and then go over on ink, go over with ink. So we've got a nice open space here, and I think I'll do the reservoir there. So it's I'm gonna have got an image of two circles, basically like turntables. So again, I'm not looking for perfection here because that would take a lot more time and effort, and this is meant to be fast and loose and kind of freeform. Right. Let's do some minor like widgets here. Doesn't have to be accurate, but it does have to kind of portray like industrial feeling or like mechanical. Okay. Right. Then I'm going to have the two. Right. Let's see what my circles are like. Probably going to be pretty shocking. That's okay. And that's okay as well. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, and I can always say, oh, it's over time, it's the reservoirs have been battered and damaged, so that's why they're not perfectly spherical or perfectly circular. Okay. Now I go inking, so I use Unipin fine lines. This is a size 5. It's the one I've used for all of these. I had size 00 to 08 and 0.5. Does the job. I like it. Okay, and when I'm drawing, I don't worry about being perfectly straight either, because a bit of wobble or damage in the structure makes it look a bit more interesting and lived in, because this is a post-apocalyptic megacity. So it's been through the wars. Tongue comes out. Okay. Go. Ink in the widgets. All right. Oh, that one's a bit wobbly. It's okay. Okay. And so when I do this as well, I don't want to I'm not going into super finite detail when it comes to like the individual areas. So I could have like theoretically I could show the corpses floating in here, but the scale is still it's wobbly as well. Like that's a merry-go-round for kids. How big could it be? 10 feet, maybe 10-foot diameter. So this would theoretically be a lot bigger, but it's okay because it's not 100% accurate, and that's all right. I am going to do some interior walls here. Reservoir. These ones are a bit banged up. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna have like I like putting in here. I've got like little debris, like little squiggles and marks and stuff. Something I picked up looking at the work of Crom, Christian Ortiz, an amazing comic artist. He did the cover for Warden Saga for me. Just have like little imperfections, but also like I'll show you what I mean here. We got like little gribblies in here. So it's kind of the corpses. Let's say that those are some of the corpses floating in there. I like to just kind of just do little marks like this. Gives it a bit more texture, and it looks a bit more interesting than just having it be blank. Right, so I'm going to have some scuffs on the sides here too. Like that. Okay. All right. It almost looks like pizzas. Okay, so I like to also connect things. So we've got a path here and a path over there. Whether it's a road or it doesn't really matter. It's just a path from one location to another. This broken, worn over time, and then that. I like to leave a rough edge that I can pick up later on. So I could do something else in this area here, for instance, or I could do like build something else over here, and then have like little ground debris. Maybe just have this will be the vacant lot that I didn't draw earlier. There we go. Putting a bit more detail into it than I normally would, just because hopefully it's more interesting. Right, so this is area 3. Got a bit more out of focus there. So area 3, so I'll put that here, 03. And there we go. So that is today's hashtag Dungeon 23 entry done. I got the description, and I've got the drawing illustration on the map. So it's a corpse-corrupted reservoir with a stench of rot, decay, and putrefaction. Dozens of bloated corpses float amongst the brackish water. Voices from the dead call from the still water. See, I kind of repeated water. So if I was editing it, I'd go back and change that from the still depth or from the brackish depths. I think that might work pretty well. Okay. So that's my process for doing Dungeon 23. My brainstorming it, my thinking about what to include, what to illustrate, my approach to it. Keep it pretty freeform. Don't want to be too prohibitive, too restrictive. Don't want to follow things too rigidly, because I would kind of that would get too stressful trying to manage that over a long period. So just kind of dipping in and out doing this. I like the satisfaction of filling up the pages. I scan these as well. So I scan them kind of as I finish. So I have a record of this. And later on down the road, I'll probably edit these into a setting, Megacity, for We Deal in Lead. All right, so I've been talking nonstop for 35 minutes as I've been drawing this as well. Right, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like the video, subscribe for more live streams and for more of my design meanderings. I know it's it's become background noise. Just like, share, subscribe. It is what it is. I like having followers on YouTube, but it doesn't really matter. Like, ultimately. Yeah, thanks, Steven. Thanks for stopping by. He said, have a good weekend. Or Steven said, have a good weekend. But yeah, I think if you like what I've done, subscribe, and then I'll do some more. Okay. All right, I'm going to switch back to the... I don't have a be right, or I have a be right back. I have starting soon. I don't have a thanks for the stream. So I'll say thanks for the stream. I'll switch back to starting soon just so you can hear a bit more of the music from Of Sleeping Bears. And thank you. Hope to see you next time.